would start with the session because it's already 10:30, and this is a 1-hour session. So let's start. Okay, cool. So just giving you a brief introduction to what is a project according to PMBOK. So a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result, which can be simply defined as a group of tasks performed in a specific time period to meet a specific set of objectives, or the scope, time, cost, risk, and the performance of the project. So basically, PMBOK is a PMP guideline which Primavera is based on, and these are just some definitions which we can skip, but yeah, let me just go through it, just read it through once. What is project management? This is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. Using project management softwares, you can organize your project management easier, especially when you encounter difficulties. So all these project management activities are divided into groups. Project management groups are basically divided into 5, namely initiating process groups. So basically tendering and all the processes involved with tendering are known as initiating process group for the project management. Then comes the planning phase, wherein you are into a planning process group. After planning is completed, design is completed, you enter execution phase, which is a part of executing process group. And of course, with the executing process group, your monitoring and control process group is aligned. And when your project is finished, you are into the closing process group. So basically, you're just making sure that you are delivering everything to the client that was promised as per the contract. And yeah, let's go to another slide. So basically, if you have ever heard upon this tool, Primavera is a PMIS tool. So basically what a PMIS software system has is a way to create a system through which we can monitor the progress, create some WBSs, calculate critical path, earned value management controls, Gantt charts, and other charting features, resource tracking, resource leveling, reporting functionality. So all these things are a part of the PMIS software system. So basically, MSP, project, Primavera, Synchro, other Bentley softwares, like, what would you say, Asta Power Project. All these are part of the PMIS tools. I mean, these are all PMIS tools, but Primavera EPPM is one of the most, it's the best tool in the industry because it is Java based. You've got more controls. You've got more ways of reporting the progress than any of the others. And the best thing that Primavera offers compared to all these is it offers a portfolio management. So as a company, if I give you an example about Reliance, as a company, Reliance has got many verticals. One is refinery, one is geo, the other one is retail. Then they have, what else do they have? They are into every industry. They are into marine. They are into real estate. So basically, they can have all their projects with respect to all these functions in their PMIS software, right? Into their PMIS software, which is Primavera, but they don't have this functionality in MS projects. Yep. With this, I think, Jyotsna, would you like to add something more on this? Jyotsna or Abdullah? Guys, would you like to add something more on this?
Yep, I believe that you have covered most of the things. What I'm seeing as an industry is Primavera P6 is like more of a 2D software. This is what I believe, and this is what I'm seeing as an industry, which is moving towards 4D, which is Asta and Synchro. So maybe in coming years, not like immediately, maybe in coming years, like 4 or 5 years, I believe that the industry would be leaving Primavera P6 and moving towards Synchro and Asta. This is what Multiplex is working on right now. So even we are not, you can say, based, like our company is based on Primavera, but we are also looking at options of leaving Primavera and going towards Asta and Synchro. So this is what I believe. But as of now, Primavera is the only tool which we have in the market. The only drawback of using Primavera is it's 2D. It doesn't show you many models or anything as compared to Asta or Synchro.
That's right, Abdullah. So basically, look, 4D planning is, I won't say it's 4 or 5 years behind. I think Australia is behind each and every other country. Like, if you can talk about UK, if you talk about US, they're already using Synchro. They're already using 4D planning, 4D simulation as a part of all their projects, which are about 50 million USD. But it's only here in Australia that we are using this we are using 2D. But yeah, to say, I mean, just to make myself clear, Primavera is even today in those countries, Primavera is still used for recording the project, for planning the project, and then they make use of other softwares like Synchro and Asta and Navisworks just to bring it to a 4D model. But still, first, every plan is created in Primavera. Yeah, so that's all about that's
yes, you're right.
about, yeah. Okay, fine, let's go to the next slide. So we'll talk something about the data structure of Primavera, how Primavera is structured. So P6 EPPM contains many data structures to support your project management needs and business processes. Well-defined structures make entering data faster and easier. They enable you to organize and summarize data more effectively. So what is basically the EPS? EPS is basically enterprise, oh my God, I just forgot it. EPS,
it's enterprise project structure.
Enterprise planning.
I'm sorry?
Enterprise project structure.
Exactly, yes. So it's, thank you. It's enterprise project structure, and OBS is basically your organizational
breakdown structure.
Yes, organizational breakdown structure. So basically, let's consider the example of Woolworths. So the person who is managing, the MD of Woolworths, is going to be on the top of the EPS. So somewhere around, just a moment, let me draw something. This is your Woolworths. Okay. This is going to be the person, the MD of Woolworths or the CEO. Just to make sense for everyone. This is going to be retail stores. This is going to be bottle shops. And this here is going to be your online distribution. Yeah. So basically there would be managers who would be managing all this, but the main responsible manager is going to be the CEO and MD. And in the online distribution model, in the bottle shops business, in the retail stores, there would be other projects which would be going on. So you can say that, you know, all the suburbs which have got Woolworths are their projects, right? I mean, if we talk about uh, Woolworths as an example, and all the people who are managing the place are their responsible managers. Does it make sense, everyone? Jyotsna, would you like to add something more on this? Okay, I think I've explained enough here. Basically, that's the so I'll just read through it once. The EPS is a hierarchy that represents the breakdown of projects in a company. Nodes at the highest or the root level might represent divisions within your company, phases of projects or other major groupings that meet the needs of your organization. So EPS is the breakdown of your organization. Yeah. And OBS is an outline of managers responsible for the projects in your company. There is one OBS for the entire organization, who is the CEO or the MD. And it is used to control access to projects and data. So I think this is pretty clear and straightforward. We'll move to another slide. Okay, so what are the steps? How do I get rid of this? Okay, we've got it cleared. Okay, so in order to create a project plan, what are the steps? How do you create a project plan? So basically, in order to create a project plan, first you make an EPS. Under the EPS, you make a project, and inside the project, okay, I'm sorry, we were here. I'm sorry, folks. I think I'm very new to this thing, so it's taking a bit of a time for me to scroll through the presentation. But anyways, yeah, we'll get through it shortly. Sorry for that. Step one is creating a project. So when you make an EPS in Primavera, I would say let us first make an EPS in Primavera, and then we'll come to this slide. Yep. Yes, so we'll create an EPS. So Dhirendra Jala is going to explain you how he is creating this EPS and how he is going to go about it altogether. Please unmute your mic and explain it to us. I think there is something wrong with his mic. He's not able to talk with us. Okay,
Hello.
so let's say that I'll help you with that, guys. Okay, so let's say this is RIL. Reliance is, this is an EPS. This is a major EPS that we've created. Under it, this is the main node. Under it, there is Geo, there is oil, and there is retail. Okay. Okay, we'll just get rid of this. We'll close it and we'll start again. Go to enterprise project structures. What you'll do is just create a new EPS. How you would do that? You would just add a new EPS, right? So right now this EPS is coming under Reliance, but I want it to come as a separate entity. It's a separate company. So it comes as a new EPS. I name it, do the EPS ID as WL, which is Woolworths. Name it as Woolworths Pty Ltd. We add one under it. So this is going to be your retail stores. Then it's going to be bottle shops. Then it's going to be online distribution. This is going to be online distribution. Yep. So we've got Khaja Syed with us. So you see, folks, this is Woolworths, and under Woolworths, we've got all these other EPS. So let's say retail stores. So under retail stores, you cannot add another EPS. Under retail stores, you will be able to add only and only one project or two projects or multiple projects. So there is one root node and there is one child node, and you cannot add grandchildren to the child node. You know what I mean? You can add projects to the child node. So for the online distribution model, there has to be warehouses. Like there is one warehouse in Footscray, there is one warehouse in Merindam, there is one warehouse somewhere in the east of Melbourne. So things like that. I'll delete this. Okay, so we've got 3 EPSs created. Yeah. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so we are now clear with how to create an EPS. Now within the EPS, as I told you earlier, we'll be creating a project plan. So there are steps involved in creating a project plan. The most important thing, the first step is going to be creating a project. So I'll explain how to create a project in Primavera P6. And here are some of the steps. So basically after we depart, I'll give this presentation to people who need it, who want to practice on their own so that they can just follow all these steps and get the ball rolling. They actually come to know how to create a project plan. And that's what we want to do today. And yep, so let's go to Primavera again. So now I'll close the EPS. We'll go to projects. We've got online distribution, we've got retail shops, we've got bottle shops under Woolworths Proprietary Limited, right? So let's enter some of the projects. Into all these EPSs now. So this is the EPS. We can change the EPS from here if we want. Like if we selected something by mistake, but in this case, it's going to be online distribution. Online distribution. This is the project ID wherein I would put FS, that's Footscray FSW, Footscray Warehouse. Footscray Warehouse, right? We do next. So what is the project plan start date? So yes, this date can be any date in the future. This date can also be any date in the past. So let's say if a project has started on 2nd of January and I have been introduced as a planning manager now, and the company wants me to make a plan for them. I can go to a back date. Let's say 2nd of January, select and do the project planning and make it a project plan start. I can always have a responsible manager. So basically in this case, we haven't put the OBS yet. So let's put responsible manager as the MD. But if we want, we can always put different types of OBS who will be managing that particular EPS. So basically, you know, the MD would have several people who would be managing this online distribution, retail stores and bottle shops. So the person who is going to manage the online distribution is going to be the person who is going to be the responsible OBS for this EPS online distribution. Does it make sense, everyone? Rate type is going to be standard, external rate, internal rate, price unit. Look, all these rate types are having a significance, but most of the time we take it as a standard rate while we make a project. So this Primavera asks you what is the rate type when you create a new project, and it asks you by default. Congratulations, a new project has been created. Right, let me just scroll through here and show you what we've got. So now we've created a new project, which is Footscray Warehouse. Similarly, we can create different projects under different EPS, and it's going to be the same process every time. If you've got subcontractors, you will select a different rate. You will be selecting subcontractor rates, and then you'll be creating, I mean, that would be the project for you. But when you submit it to the client, you won't be submitting it with internal rates. You would be submitting it with external rates. That's your profit margin into the project, adding your profit margin into the project. So that's something about how to create a project. So these are all the steps. Create project, click projects. On the process project navigation bar, click EPS. On the EPS page, select the EPS element to which you want to add the new project. So in our case, it was Woolworths. Sorry. In our case, it was Woolworths. Sorry, Woolworths online distribution. Then we will be doing, we would be adding the project, and click the general tab and select an option or enter a value in each required field and click create. So that's how we created a project. All right. So the second step after you create a project is going to be creating a calendar. So uh, calendars are of three types. You've got global calendars, project calendars, and resource calendars. I'll give you a brief overview of each of the calendars. So basically, the global calendars are, are not very specific ones to your project. These are the calendars which are embedded in Primavera. Primavera comes with all these global calendars. Then you've got project calendars. So it's up to your client. Like, our clients, they give us a set of calendars when we, put their template into our Primavera, we are only able to see their project calendars. And these project calendars are specific to each project, as the name sounds. And then there are resource calendars. So basically all the resources that you have in the project are not going to work on the same time. The design team is going to work for like 5 days. The execution is working for 7 days, sometimes 6 days. Sometimes they are working 2 shifts. There are some resources which are very, very rare, and they are just working for 3 days a week, like inspectors, or people who are going to give you the statutory certificates. And so those are resources which will be working only 2 or 3 days. So every resource has got their own specific calendar. Every project has got their own, and global calendars are basically calendars which come with your Primavera program. I hope that makes clear sense to everyone. So how do you create a project calendar? So I'll show you how to create a calendar. When you go to admin,
From enterprise.
okay, in the enterprise, you go to calendars and you select a particular calendar for a project. Surjit Sarkar has entered. Surjit, welcome. Are you able to talk, Dhirendra?
Yeah. Yes.
Very good, very good, very good. So you got your control over it. Anyways, Dhirendra will explain you in a short while how to create a calendar in Primavera.
Okay. Yes, guys. Basically, Primavera is a multi-project system, as Girishbhai is introduced. Uh, while we are working on a project, always we have multiple projects with multiple locations. So same time, we can manage the multiple projects simultaneously by using a single user.
That's right.
So once you go to the project window, you'll get entire details regarding the projects, like a basic information regarding details of the project. It should be like a name, status of the project. As a manager, you have to manage with the multiple projects. Okay, so most important part of the project is what? The calendar. Without calendar, we cannot make a proper schedule. Okay, so it's a scheduling software. That's why we need a proper calendar, which describes the timing, a day of working, and number of hours we are working on each day. Fine. So let me consider with a single project only right now. So we have a calendar option. In global, mostly whatever the general calendars the people are using, like in general shift, but we will not use a global calendar for each and every project, because it's available for each and every project. So if we using a single project with single calendar with multiple projects, it's maybe difficult to managing a individual timing for each project. So always we create a personal project calendar for each project. So right now there is no option is showing. Before that we are getting a two options here. Like we have two projects, but currently I'm opening with the single projects. So I'm just getting a blank option here. We'll add a calendar. When we selecting a calendar, we have to take a copy of existing one. So it's make a benefit like if we need a 5 into 10, 5 days and 10 hours, in a working pattern, it's already there. You can just take a copy of that, but I'm going to create a new one so we'll get a proper idea. So always take a copy of 724. It's a basically a neat and clean. So what's the benefit of that? We can customize our content of detailing of timing very easily. So I'm taking a 6 days and 10 hours. So basically it's a pattern to giving the name of the calendar. So see, sometime there is a multi user software is a Primavera. So people are using with a different roles in the Primavera. So those who have rights to managing a project creation, managing a calendars, and those who have rights to adding a WPS and activities only. So they have to be with that. So that's why we have to give the proper naming of the calendar so anyone can identify properly. So we're putting a 6 days and 10 hours. So once you put the name of the calendar, then you have an option to modify. Here, the main things are there. There is a two parts, total working hours and detailed working hours. The first we have to do the work week and time period. There is a two option is there. So work week was defined. We are working for 6 days. So I'm making a Sunday as a 0 hours, and in other days I'm putting a 10 hours. So just use the tab to switch with the next option. Just a minute. Okay. So now the entire calendar, past, present, and future, to entire months of each and every year, we are getting a 6 days and 10 hours. Most important part to do is a time period. See, whenever we're putting the days or a weeks or months on a duration of the activities, it will going to consider from here only. So you have to make it proper by yourself only. There is no any automatic calculation for that. So I'm just using the 10 hours per day, and we have 6 days of working. So we are using a 60 hours per day. Then we'll consider a 4 week for the month. So I'm putting a 240 for a month. And see, once we calculating 12 12 months in a year, so it should be like 48 weeks only. So we have to consider weeks, like we have 52 weeks in a year. So 60 into 52, it should be like 3120 hours. So what the benefit of that, I will show you in a further content, because if you're not making it correct, like we have a 6 into 10 calendar, but you are using previously there is a 24 hours, you forgot to do it, it will make a very big trouble to you once you are making a set of activities.
This is a very important part.
Yeah, so always you have to do the only two things properly: a work week and time period. Okay, now see, right now we are getting 10 hours per day for 6 days, Monday to Saturday. If you have 5 days, then put a Saturday off. Mostly in Gulf countries, they're using a Friday, Saturday to off. Okay, but the most important part is a detailed. Okay, in detail, we have to manage the shift timing. See, each and every calendar will considering a single shift. Like project is working in mostly in the oil and gas sectors, 24/7 they are working for the shutdown activities. Those who know the construction about the oil and gas. In that, we have to manage a multiple shift calendar for the resources. That's why here we have a different calendar for the resources, because resources are not able to come more than 8 hours. So if project is working on 24/7, then we have to make a separate shift calendars. Like we have a day shift, night shift, evening shift, something like that. Fine. So here we are making the calendar timing. Here I'm going to do the modification in timing by detail work hours. Yeah, here we have again work week option. Uh, aha. So see, it's showing me the working pattern of entire 24 hours in a single day. Like we are getting a 30 minutes of slots. Okay. In that we cannot make a 15 minutes, like 10 minutes, but in Microsoft project there is an option we can do but it's more effective. We are managing it in a 30-minute sessions. So we have a 12 to 12:30, 12:30 to 1 o'clock is like with the entire 24 hours. So by default, Primavera will select the central part of that entire timing. So according to your need, we have to manage it. So I'm just selecting the entire week's days, because once I'm selecting only Monday, it will be going to impact on Monday only. So I'm selecting the entire 6 days. Then I want to start my work from 9 o'clock. So I'm selecting 7 to 8. 7 to 8, 8 to 9, it's a non-work. But again, I have to increase my 2 hours working in an evening session. Yeah, fine. So it should be like that. Now you have to, you want to introduce a break between that entire day, you may do it. Just you have to do the work and non-work. Fine. So our calendar got created. And mostly management will declaring holidays for entire year. Yearly we have a pattern to making the holidays. So whatever the holiday calendar you are making in a global, so we just have to do something like that. We just selecting the particular calendar, default calendar. Then we'll put like we have a holiday on 16th. I'm making is a non-work. So when you came back to your original calendar, like you're using your project calendar, here we have an option for inheriting holidays is going to be automatically once you selecting the global calendar. Means you are not authorized to getting or putting your specific holidays for the project side. It will decide by the management. Fine. So once you create a calendar, you may create a multiple calendar in a single project, because as the project life, like we are working on a 1 year of project, in between we are getting so many difficulty for the resources and according to the environment of the project. So once we are working like 10 hours, but after 1 month we are getting that we have to make some peak time. We'll do as 12 hours also. So we
Just a
have to
moment.
make a
I'll
multiple.
explain a bit. Sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you there,
sure.
but I'll explain a bit here why we use different project calendars for the same project. Now, see, for a design and build project, you've got so many activities which are interdependent. Like you've got design, you've got procurement, you've got construction, you've got some things which are in the brown field, some things going on in the green field. So for the same project, there are different sorts of work which are going on in a different uh, time zone or in a different calendar. Procurement can be done for 7 days, but design can only be done for 5 days. Your one of the team, like your execution team, one contractor, one subcontractor, one subby is deciding they'll be working for 7 days. The other subcontractor would be deciding that no, this work cannot be done for 7 days. We would be only working for 3 nights a week, something like that. So basically, to introduce all these things, what we do is it's not that we are using only one calendar. We'll be using 3 or 4, sometimes 5 or 6 calendars, because for the Hong Kong project, Jyotsna, remember how we used several calendars? Can you throw
Yes,
some
yes,
light on
yes,
that?
yes.
I mean,
Yeah, I think they
they
were
will
almost
understand
like
better if you can tell them something about that.
18, 19 calendars. So each, since it's an airport project, it's like, there are several different work time periods that we need to follow, because there might be one installation team that has to work on the airport, because airport, the work timings is quite different to the normal projects.
Yep.
Yeah, so they have some no-time calendars which have to be done only during the runway closures, or at a time where when the flights don't operate and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Jyotsna.
Okay.
So basically, calendars are very important in Primavera. There's nothing as important as calendars when you create a project. I mean, if you mess up with a calendar, you will mess up with the whole project. So
Yes,
that's the importance of the.
definitely. See, we have created 2 calendars with our single project. So then we have an option to selecting a default calendar at a time. Means when you are doing some set of activity or putting some set of activity, always you have to select the proper project calendar before starting it adding activities.
Right.
Okay. So here I'm selecting a 6 days, 10 hours. So whatever the set of activity I will going to be add in that project, it will considering as a 6 into 10. And when you need a 5 to 8 hours of activity, so mostly we'll set a default calendar for the project. And then we have a option for making a separate calendar for the activities once you start to putting activity. Okay,
Yeah.
so before that we have a WBS. So Giriji will explain about that.
Okay, cool. Let me take it over from you and let me explain. Let's go to the next slide. And after creating the calendar, basically we need to create the WBS. So what is a WBS? Basically the WBS is, there are ways of defining the WBS as per the type of the project. So let's say it's a refinery project. Yeah. And in the refinery, there are some 14, 15 plants with each of the refinery setup. One is your utility, other one is your, BRU, one is Scanifiner, one is sulfur, one is something else. So basically, there are so many 14 or 15 plants in one refinery. When you construct a refinery, I'm just giving you an example. So all of these the project would be only one project, but under this project there would be different WBSs which would be defining a particular area. And when you say a particular area, that plant, the 14 plants that we talk about would be 14 work breakdown structures for the project. And then within these WBSs there would be small other fragments of work which you would be dividing. So basically what you would be dividing into, I'll create a bit of a a flowchart over here to make you understand a bit better text. So let's say refinery project. So in this refinery project, you've got utility plant. Let's talk about only two at the moment. Utility plant and power plant. Yeah, these are the hearts of any refinery. So within the utility plant, now within these are going to be the WBSs. Refinery project, this is a project. Okay, utility plant is a WBS, power plant is a WBS. Within power plant, there would be civil. There would be mechanical. There would be electrical. And finally, there would be
We'll say the commissioning.
Instrumentation and commissioning. Yep. So all these are work breakdown structures for the utility plant, because when you create a project, you need to define a WBS for each and every plant. So now in the civil works, it's not going to be simple, right? Civil works is also going to, let's say civil works. Civil works is going to be its own set of WBSs. So let's say site office. Site office. That's one WBS. That's going to, then there's going to be control rooms. That's another WBS for the utility plant. Now you see, what we are doing is we are having one refinery project wherein we are having one utility plant which has got civil works as a WBS, mechanical as a WBS, electrical as a WBS, instrumentation and commissioning as a WBS. And then each one of them has got their own WBSs. So civil work has got site office, control rooms, area 5 and 5. So basically this is an area which is having a certain amount of pipe racks. This is a breakdown structure. Then there is something area 520, so on and so forth. So basically these are all the WBSs. Now you need to break down the WBSs in order of the achievables and the deliverables of the project. You can't break the WBSs without having the full knowledge of the project. And I'll talk something about the 4D planning here because we are doing BIM and 4D planning for this airport project there. So I'll tell you something more about how to break down WBSs. It's always best to break down the last WBS as per the area, because what happens is when you do a 4D planning, you are going to do a 4D simulation, and all these 4D simulations is going to be the your resources, your activities are going to go with the object of the 3D plan. So it's always best to assign the WBS is in such a way that the last part of the WBS, the last WBS is a particular area which can be shown in the 3D model, right? I don't want to go further because then we would be just diverting from the topic, but that's how you're going to break the WBSs. After you, I mean, let's now create a WBS in Primavera. Dhirendra bhai, please help me with that.
Yeah. Yes, guys.
Just a moment. I'll just undo.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
See, once we have added the calendar, next we'll create our breakdown structure for the particular projects. So mostly the benefit of creating our WBS is what we are getting a clear picture of the entire scope, what we have to do, major components like Girish just told, civil, mechanical, instrumentation and commissioning, everything. So from project, I'm not able to select.
Not able to select what project?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
yes, I know why you're not able to select. Just a moment.
Okay.
Just a moment. Okay, you'll be able to select now.
Yeah. So here we have an option of work breakdown structure. Okay. Now we'll add the set of WBS like Giz has already created that pattern on that dashboard. Yes, Giz, just put the details like you created anything.
Yeah, let's say trucking area. Warehouse would have a trucking area, storage area, right? Let's say a storage area is 1 WBS. Okay, but before that, you're going to, yes, under the storage area, you'll be putting civil. All right. So this is going to be civil works. Then you'll be adding 1 WBS for mechanical erections. Like, you know, in all these warehouses, there are this structural works. I would say instead of mechanical works, it would be structural works. All right. And then you'd be having painting. So these are different elements of work that you do. And I mean, in a WBS, these are just, you know, trying to make it very simple. So now you see within the Footscray warehouse, there is one storage area. Within the storage area, this is the civil works, structural works, painting. And let's say this is one of them. Let's create another WBS and let's name it trucking area. Trucking area. Bring it down. Guys, I'm so sorry. I was just, you know, I just told my wife that I'll be spare 1 hour for me this Sunday, take my son out somewhere. But now that monster is in, so you might hear some background noise, but I'm really sorry about that. They don't have childcares on Saturdays. I'm sorry. Trucking area, it's again going to be civil. Mechanical. Or let's say structure, because they've got all those structural and structural installations, because they've got all these installations which you which you would have seen when you go to a warehouse. Then you've got civil, structural, and painting. Basically, what we did is we made one project. We made one project which was Footscray Warehouse. This project is a part of the EPS online distribution of a company called Woolworths. Within this, you got storage area and trucking area as two areas. Within these, you've got civil works, structural works, painting. Within the storage area, within the trucking area, you've got civil, structural, painting. And this is the WBS. This is how you create WBSs. Yeah. So you are 60% of the job is done when you create a WBS, I would say. Because, I mean, if you're creating a project plan, of course, you've got activities and everything. But 60% of the work is done when you create the right WBS and the right calendars are associated with the project. Okay, now let's go on to activities, which is our final step. This is the last slide of this presentation. Okay, I think I haven't made any slides for the activities, but I will be able to explain you activities without a slideshow. We'll add activities on tomorrow's slideshow, guys. I'm sorry.
It's there on 3B.
Is it there? Okay. It's there. It's already there. I'm sorry about that. So basically, I'll explain it to you how we create activities within these WBSs. Now we are on to Footscray Warehouse project. Thank you. Let me open the project.
You need to unhide the go to tools, and you need to unhide the empty WBSs.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason. You're right. Oh my God.
Yes.
Can you see this? My screen is basically, my screen is basically going.
Yep, this one. Yeah, this one.
Yeah. My screen, this on the top.
Yes, Giriji.
All good. Now you're able to see the Footscray Warehouse, storage area, trucking area, civil works, structural works, painting, civil structure installation, painting. Now what you got to do is just a right click, add activities, and just go on doing that. Yep. So as you've seen here, it takes a 1000. It is going on the same, on a duration in an interval of 10. You can make it 50. You can make it 100. There are ways to do it. Because we are running short of time, I'll just be very brief here, and we'll just quickly go through how we put activities. So basically, what you do when you start a civil work, you dig the foundation, right? So trenching or foundation works. Then you've got okay, trenching or excavation works. We'll make it excavation. You've got pedestals. Oh, you can't say pedestals. You've got reinforcement. No, trench leveling. You've got PCC. You've got rebar. You've got formwork. And you've got concrete. This is basically trying to explain you how we make activities here. So it's going to be a very easy thing for person after you've created the WBSs, just do a right click and add an activity. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Would you like to add something, Dhirendra Jala?
Yes. See, guys, as Girish has explained very well. I'm getting my first one. Yeah. Fine. So as much we needed to detailing the WBS, it's possible to do because Primavera supports WBS level up to 50. Means you may create a sub levels of EPS and WBS up to 50 level. I'm not talking about the peers. I'm just talking about the sub levels. Like we have a project, then we have a storage area, then we have a civil work. Again, you will make some set of sub WBs for the civil work. So it's a bit larger, but mostly as we have work experience on that, mostly it will be getting up to 5 or 6 level in any huge project. Okay. Shall we show the our actual work WBS to them, Gizbhai?
Yeah. Feel free.
Yeah. See, guys. See, we are just currently Girishbhai has shown you that how to create a WBS an activity, but it's really complicated while you are making any real project. Like let me show you our real-time work. We are working on that. It's a project of Hong Kong as we were working on that before just a month ago.
I'll open the latest one for you.
So let me give you a quick tour of that entire project we did. See, guys, once we started the project, as we have seen the calendars, list of set of calendars we have. So for the each and every WBS and set of activity, we're making a different calendars according to the need of work pattern. Same, we have a set of work breakdown structure. See, that's the actual thing we are doing for that air-filled ground light system. See, think on that. We are just getting the part to accessing with the ground light system. There is a lot of things in that to making an airport, runways and all. We are just dealing with the ground lights. So there is a
Yeah.
set of, yeah. So maybe Girishbhai is very well to be giving the brief on that. Just Girish, just explain the whatever the things we have did in that.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a brief of what we've done. This is an airfield ground lighting system project. What we did in this is the ground lighting on you might have seen all these lights when we go, or I mean when the flight lands, all these lights are there to guide the aircraft in the right taxiway in the right direction. But we just see the lights. There's a lot to it. These lights are controlled with a SCADA system, and this SCADA system is basically an instrumentation system. If somebody, I mean, if any of you are aware of that, so basically this light is connected to a CCR, which is a control current regulator, and after connecting to the CCR, it gets connected to a control monitoring system. And this control monitoring system is connected to the SCADA, which is there in which is again connected to your towers, your your control monitoring towers, from which all these aircrafts and all these signals are managed. So what we did is we had to break this down. This is a 5-year project basically. So we had to bring it down into design, procurement, construction phases, which are like, 2 phases. One phase is the new runway, which is coming up at Hong Kong, and the other runway is the existing runway, that's a brownfield. So as I told you, and me and Jyotsna were talking about, there was something which we were doing with different calendars. So we had design team says we'll be working only for 5 days, so we had different calendar for the design. We've got some activities which are in greenfield, which are going to be for 7 days. I mean, they are going to work for 7 days. There are some of the activities in the brownfield, in the existing control monitoring towers, and which are going to be only when there is no aircraft flying. And so basically we had to use different calendars. I'll show you a brief of WBS here.
Yeah.
So if you see, just give me the controls. I'll just show it to them. Okay, so this is the general submissions. So unlike the civil projects, electrical projects have a lot of statutory and other submissions. These are the design deliverables. So basically what we did is we broke it down in this way. This is your project commencement, general submissions, design submissions, key dates. Key dates is basically their execution. And these are the payment stages and milestones. So basically, you know, the airport will be paying the client as per the payment stages. So there are some activities which are linked to the payment stages. So as those activities get completed, those payment stages are triggered. So yeah, so basically within the general submissions, we've got documents. Within the design submissions, we've got all these WBSs, which are deliverables. And within the key dates, we've got two options, three types of key dates. So this is phase 1, this is phase 1A, and this is phase 2. For phase 1, we've got all these 4 types of phase things, where part 1 is the airfield ground lighting system, the system which is on the ground, on the runway. This is the CMS, control monitoring system. This is the power supply. So basically, you know, these lights, they need power as well. So the power supply system, and these are the traffic warning lighting control system. So you can consider these are very, very similar to what we have on our, you know, road traffic signals. You can consider these as traffic signals. Yeah. So within all these parts, we've got procurement, construction, preliminary as constructed drawings, testing and commissioning, as constructed drawing production. So this is the preliminary as constructed, and this is the constructed. Similarly, you've got everything for part 2, part 3, part 4. Part 2 has got AGL CMS hardware, software development, and AGL CMS testing platform. Similarly, for part 3, you've got power supply system. So basically, it's procurement, construction, testing and commissioning, preliminary as constructed, final as constructed drawing production. And within each of the construction, you've got so many other WBSs. So it's all these are WBSs. There are in total, it's a complex program, guys. So basically, it has got all these anticipated dates when they'll be getting the work areas. Then they've got some vaults, which is a part of a substation, basically. And yeah, so basically this is how we create WBSs. And this is the depth of the
Yeah.